So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired four-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him. He wants a military who will be loyal to him personally, one that will obey his orders even when he tells them to break the law or abandon their oath to the Constitution of the United States. In just the past week, Donald Trump has repeatedly called his fellow Americans the enemy from within, and even said that he would use the United States military to go after American citizens. And let's be clear about who he considers to be the enemy from within. Anyone who refuses to bend a knee or dares to criticize him would qualify, in his mind, as the enemy within, like judges, like journalists, like nonpartisan election officials. It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of Americans. All of this is further evidence for the American people of who Donald Trump really is. This is a window into who Donald Trump really is, from the people who know him best, from the people who worked with him side by side in the Oval Office and in the Situation Room. And it is clear from John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, who in fact vowed to be a dictator on day one and vowed to use the military as his personal militia to carry out his personal and political vendettas. Donald Trump is increasingly unhinged and unstable. And in a second term, people like John Kelly would not be there to be the guardrails against his propensities and his actions. Those who once tried to stop him from pursuing his worst impulses would no longer be there, and no longer be there to rein him in. So the bottom line is this. We know what Donald Trump wants. He wants unchecked power. The question in 13 days will be, what do the American people want?
That right there, folks, is someone speaking from not a place of strength. We're going to go through the transcript here and break this all down. That was in coordination with a story that dropped from The Atlantic, and they're both interwoven into each other. And I think it's done purposely to try to confuse the facts of average day Americans that are just simply out here living their lives, trying to pay their bills and, be good parents, or what have you. That right there, I think that it's a move of desperation. It is unverified. It has one single source, John Kelly. In The Atlantic, they name two other people that were there, unnamed sources, or close to the matter, which is not a source at all. Let's go through this. I was thinking about a lot this yesterday. I read the Atlantic article. I heard this, had a lot to think about. I got home late. I didn't do a video on this, and I'm glad I didn't, because I had time to sleep on it and kind of get my thoughts together on why and how politicians really don't give a shit about the military, but they are the first to step up and use us as pawns in their very sick game of power, for money and their lobbyists in D.C. Remarks from the Vice President Harris at the Vice President residence. So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired four-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler. Very well worded, because it's saying that it's confirming that John Kelly said that Trump said that, not that we have confirmed that Trump has said that. Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him. He wants a military who will be loyal to him personally, that we will obey his orders even if they tell us to break the law or abandon their oath to the Constitution of the United States. I will say this, Donald Trump did piss a lot of generals off. He did piss a lot of people at the Pentagon off. And this is why, because Donald Trump didn't want to start any new wars, right? Donald Trump didn't want to start any new wars. And what good are generals and admirals if you can't start new wars? What are they doing? They're essentially sitting around, they're training, they become bored. They've worked all their lives to have some kind of big operation that they can control to kind of cherry on top of their career and walk away with the highest ribbon that they can get. Well, it's not going to happen. Talk about breaking the law. Military chain of command lied to Donald Trump and his staff when he asked them to pull out of Syria. They told him that they did pull out of Syria. They didn't. They left men behind. They lied to the commander in chief. That is a fact. So I can see why that I understand this in the context of why they don't like Donald Trump, because he's not like all the other politicians they've been dealing with for 20 up to 30. Some of them stay over 30 years, especially when they jump over to the civilian side as a GS 99 or whatever, making $200,000 a year, whatever they make. Just in the past week, Donald Trump has repeatedly called for his fellow Americans the enemy from within, and even said that he would use the United States military to go after American citizens. The enemy from within is in plain sight. How, if you were in Donald Trump's shoes, or if you have been paying attention to anything that has been going on in the legal system that has been weaponized against him and other Republicans or conservatives, or just people, I will say people that don't agree with the state or Washington, D.C. right now, is very clear to see that there are enemies from within. And an oath that all American service members take is, I will protect the United States of America. I will obey the Constitution from enemies foreign and domestic. I've taken that oath many times. Now, using the military to go after American citizens, I think that's a bit of a stretch on what he's saying. There is obviously, on both sides, people can agree, Republican or Democrat, if we want to break it down like that in this conversation, there is obviously corruption throughout our judicial system, throughout our legislative branch, throughout our executive branch. How would you deny that? This is very clearly an issue that America has to solve, has to attack it head on. And Donald Trump is threatening that organization or that apparatus. And so this is a threat to them. So they're pulling out all the stops. This is their big October surprise, under 2 weeks now from the presidential debate. And Trump is Hitler. And these are all the reason why he's like Hitler. And he's going to be like Hitler. He's already been there for 4 years. Okay? Hitler did not wait around any amount of time once he got into power to solidify his spot within the German government. It's really disgusting that we have to continuously go back to this. People we don't like are like Hitler. It's really, really annoying. And what's historically even more annoying is that Hitler actually wasn't even the worst guy during that time frame. Joseph Stalin put him to shame with the amount of people that he killed within his own country and the surrounding countries. But they don't want to make that comparison because of the ideology that they believe in at its core. Now, let's be clear about who considers to be an enemy from within. Anyone who refuses to bend the knee or dare to criticize him who would qualify in his mind as an enemy within, like judges, like journalists, like nonpartisan election officials. Would like to highlight this just for a second. there's like really no such thing as a nonpartisan election official. I'm an election official. You are either a Republican or Democratic election judge. Not to say that you're hostile to the other side. You go down to any county election department, all of them are partisan actors. All of them have their own ideas and ideologies, and they are very motivated. That's why they chose to do that job. That's why they went out of their way. It's not the highest paying jobs, but it's something that they believe within in their core. So so this whole idea that everyone in the United States that's an election official is nonpartisan, completely not true. That's beside the point. Like journalists, I believe that there's not really a fine line between a journalist and a propagandist. If you're a propagandist, and you're just continuously spewing lies and misleading the public, I wouldn't really consider you an enemy, but I would say that you really shouldn't have too much. You're not going to get much respect. Like judges, we can all agree there's corrupt judges. And in fact, during the Summer of Love, the United States was lit on fire because a lot of people disagreed with the state and condition in which our judicial system was operating in. Here it's convenient for them to say, to protect the judges, to protect the judicial system, to say everything is fine. And anytime Donald Trump brings up a problem or saying that he's being abused or attacked by the judicial system and saying, oh my gosh, they want to put me in jail, and Donald Trump will be going to jail if he loses his election. That is a dangerous thing right there. It's convenient in this situation. During the Summer of Love, where billions of dollars of damage was done, everyone else was locked in their home unless that they were running on the streets, rioting, stealing people's shit. Then it was a problem. Then there was corruption. Some of these judges were enemies from within in the Democratic view. It was deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the death of 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of Americans. I've seen many Jewish societies already come out and say it was more than 6 million. So thanks for downplaying the Holocaust, Kamala Harris. It's really great of you. And hundreds of thousands of Americans. To say that he's invoking Trump in this, again, we have one person who will come out on record saying that he heard this, and there's no way to ever say that it was false or true. That's what the most frustrating thing about this entire conversation is. John Kelly comes out and says, yep, that's what he said, and they just run with it as fast as they can. All of this is further evidence for the American people of who Donald Trump really is. This is a window into who Donald Trump really is from the people who know him best, from the people who worked with him side by side in the Oval Office and in the Situation Room. It is clear from John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, who, in fact, vowed to be a dictator on day one and vowed to use military as his personal militia to carry out his personal and political vendettas. Has he ever done that? Was he a dictator on day one? No, actually, I would say he fell short on a lot of promises, almost all of his promises, except a really awesome economy as far as draining the swamp goes in Washington, D.C. He was going to drain the swamp. The swamp really just got bigger when he got there. Right? He walked into Washington, D.C., was not prepared for the situation that he was walking into. I hope that he's prepared this time. But the fact that we have 4 years of data on the man, on how he acts, on what he does. Has he said bombastic things? Yes. And I'm going to be a fascist. I'm going to be a fascist on day one was definitely one of those bombastic things. That he's going to take control. He's going to take charge of the situation. But, Kamala Harris doesn't understand that because she doesn't take charge of anything. She gets pushed around. She gets told what to do by the lobbyists. And to her, that's a really foreign idea to have her own ideas, to push forward her own ideas, to take charge of a situation. She doesn't know how to do that. So when she sees or hears someone doing that, that's scary to her. And you can see the fear in her face. Donald Trump is increasingly unhinged and unstable. And in the second term, people like John Kelly would not be there to be the guardrails against his propensities and his actions. Those who once tried to stop him from pursuing his worst impulses would no longer be there and no longer be there to rein him in. So the bottom line is this. We know what Donald Trump wants. He wants unchecked power. The question in 13 days will be, what do the American people want? Thank you. Then she scurried off. There it is. There's her big speech that she gave. And this was based in part by John Kelly coming out and making these statements on an interview, which in the interview, if you watched it, like where he says certainly falls into general definition of fascist, was not, in my opinion, him, no, he's a fascist. He was not scared of it. He was like, well, yeah, I think generally speaking that would fall into it was led to that conclusion in the interview. And that's fine. John Kelly can say that. John Kelly can have those opinions. For the president, vice president of the United States, right, to come out, and this is only, don't let the memory hold you, folks. This is only a month and a half, 2 months after. We need to bring down the rhetoric. This is the worst rhetoric. He's like Hitler. He is Hitler. He's worse than he want unchecked power. He's a threat to democracy. If you truly believe those things, what other action do you have? Voting is not enough against a man that you really feel that is that dangerous. Let's jump into this Atlantic piece. And again, this is all tied together, so we kind of have to jump the tabs here. The Atlantic immediately debunked after attempting yet another Trump military hit piece. These people do not give a shit about the military. They will use us as pawns as much as possible, as much as we let them get away. They want to know why recruitment rates are low, why retention is low, why morale is low, why people are getting out, why people are purposely becoming overweight so they can't get deployed in the reserves, why people are purposely failing drug tests so they get kicked out. It goes on and on and on with the military and the politics of this whole thing, and how disgusting our politicians and upper military leaders, civilian and the like, act towards us, and how they treat us, and how we see ourselves in the headlines all the time. And it's like, well, hold on. I don't think that we believe that, or that's not really the case. We're not really believing that. It wasn't but a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, actually, that the chief of the Navy, the civilian head of the Navy, is now facing some serious issues by going over to England and making disparaging comments about Donald Trump and J.D. Vance while on military orders over in Great Britain. Well, hold on, you're not allowed to do that if you're in a military, if you're in uniform, if you're being paid during that time, especially if you're going overseas as representative of the Navy to make comments like that. He fought those for a long time. Those charges took a long time to come around. If you're an E5, if you're an E6 and you make some shit like that, your ass is going to be court-martialed. Your ass is going to be in your whites. You're going to be in your dress blues, and you're going to be standing in front of the man on the X. And it's going to happen quick. Why? Because there's rules for thee, but not for me. That's the fact. Because it's the good old boys club once you get up there. They're watching out for each other. And let me tell you something, Donald Trump is not in that club. He was in that club when he wasn't running for politics and they wanted his money and they wanted to get his photo op with him. The minute that he came down the escalator, like, hey, you know what? Actually, I think we should really do something a little bit different. I think Washington's failing the people. I'm going to make a populist movement. He's not necessarily conservative. You know, he's definitely ego driven. He wants to win. He's like, okay, well, I'll put together a populist movement. And damn, he's put together a populist movement. He's brought a lot of different people together. Washington, D.C. does not like that. I love how The Atlantic drops this hit piece as if this is going to be the October surprise. Jeffrey Goldberg, you thought you were going to make something happen here. You made yourself look like an absolute dumbass. Immediately, this thing got ripped apart. And honestly, I think that this story was already put together and it was passed around on who wants to put it out. And you took your shot. And in general, for the American people, you look like a dumbass. On the left, though, they're going to take care of you. You're going to get your interviews. You're going to get a little bit of money. You're going to get invited to the cocktail parties. And that's what it is for you. But you are no longer a journalist. You are a propagandist. So next time you should change your card immediately. Do not put journalists on there. And when you shake someone's hand, do not call yourself a journalist. You are a propagandist. And you should lean into that. You really should. That could be your thing, right? I'm going to pronounce the last name wrong. I've been trying to get it right. The sister of slain soldier Vanessa Guillen slammed The Atlantic after it used anonymous sources to allege that President Donald Trump disparaged her after discovering the funeral expenses. Zero Hedge is putting all this together for us by Louise here. Guillen's death at the hands of a fellow soldier and his girlfriend became nationwide news in 2020, with Trump comforting the stricken family. He said that he was going to cover the funeral costs if the military doesn't. And what had happened, the story, the scoop, according to the magazine, relying on an anonymous source, Trump allegedly said it doesn't cost $60,000 to bury a fucking Mexican, and then order the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, to deny payment. Julian's sister, Myra, issued a viral statement on X condemning the Atlantic distorted portrayal of the experience with Trump. I don't appreciate how you are exploiting my sister's death for politics, harmful and disrespectful to the important changes she has made for service members, Myra wrote, garnering over 3 million views. I'm sure it's more than that at this point. If you don't like the deep state, if you don't like Kamala Harris, even if you don't like Trump, this is an outright lie. You need to share this. President Donald Trump did nothing but show respect to my family and Vanessa. In fact, I voted for Donald Trump today. Jeffrey Goldberg, you are an asshole. There's the tweet right there. The Atlantic. I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. Trump's obsession with dictators and disdain for America's military are deepening. Now, this plays into how Donald Trump has handled dictators around the world for a long time. For instance, with North Korea, there's been a standoff with North Korea. Well, we're going to stop them from doing what they want to do, and we're just going to starve their people to death. Kim Jong-un's family doesn't, and the dynasty doesn't care about starving their people. That doesn't affect them. They feed their soldiers. Obviously he's fat. He's getting plenty of food. They can still get the resources from around the world, trading labor and whatnot. They're still building their missiles. This has not worked. And Donald Trump, again, was walking into the situation. I'm going to do something differently. And they hate him for that. And they manipulate it and say, oh, he loves dictators because he's trying to talk to them. It's just simply not true. I got a big sneeze coming. Here's another post that the sister posted. Forever 20. Happily heavenly birthday, sister. You'd be 25 years old today. Time has passed by so unexpectedly. It can feel as just yesterday that you were having breakfast. We now have a legacy that we have to fulfill in your honor. I love you and miss you so much. Clearly, the sister is always on her mind. Myra emphasized that her sister's death should never be politicized. Unbelievable, she continued. The denials did not stop there with Meadows took to X, refuting the allegations. So here's Meadows, which is supposedly Trump said this to Mark Meadows. Any suggestion that President Trump disparaged Ms. Gulen or refused to pay for her funeral expenses is an absolute false. So here we go. Here's the lineup. Excuse me. Here's the lineup. We have unverified sources on one hand saying that Trump said it doesn't take $60,000 to bury a fucking Mexican. We have Mark Meadows on the other hand saying that is absolutely false. Now, what is the mainstream? No, what does the legacy media run with at this point? They run with the unclaimed sources. But now in the other story with John Kelly, and he's the only source, they run with that one because, well, he's a verified source. So we're going to run with that. You see the comparison here where they just don't give a shit about the truth or about any objective circumstances to anything that they do. We'll continue on. Meadows spokesperson Ben Wilson explicitly denied that Trump ever made the remarks and comments provided before publication. On the left, I sent The Atlantic a comment saying President Trump absolutely did not say that, referring to the alleged comments about Ms. Gulen's they printed. On the right, we're going to open this up. On the right, Atlantic translated that comment to didn't hear Trump say that. Treat this dishonest piece accordingly. Let's click on this. Let's open it up. So here's the response. Ben Wilson, spokesman for Mark Meadows. President Trump absolutely did not say that. He was nothing but kind, gracious, and wanted to make sure that the military and the U.S. government did right by Gloria Gulen and the daughters of and her daughter Vanessa Gulen. As for the allegations that he told me to refuse payment, that is not true. Ben Wilson, spokesman for Mark Meadows. Let's see what they wrote. A spokesman for Meadows who denied having heard Trump make that statement. That is intentionally misleading. Are the fact checkers going to put fact checks all over this thing where you have to tap it 3 times to get to the actual, the truth of it? Or the fact check is 14 paragraphs long, and at the very end, they'll say, what he actually said was this, but the 14 paragraphs talking about how bad Trump is and how he's Hitler. Yeah, that's probably what the fact checks is. I'm overlooking at the fact checks because they're all bullshit. This marked the second instance the Atlantic publishing demonstratingly false claims about Trump. I mean, the Atlantic really is just a cesspool, disgusting partisans, propagandists, just absolutely bad. When I first logged in here, I don't know if you can see it because my face is in the trending was Trump is Hitler, and fascism, or something like that. You know, the top 3 were, well, now it's Trump is Hitler, still the top political trending, and we got Van Jones and cocaine. So I don't know. This is a wild part. This is the Atlantic. You can read this if you'd like. I mean, it was okay. It was like listening to Kamala Harris talk. It's a very simple question, yet it's filled with euphemisms and large words that don't really fit into the sentence, but she thinks that they're inspirational and they make her sound better. Go ahead. It's very long. I think it's intentionally long not to be a great story, because it's a great story. I think it's intentionally long so average people don't read this, right? I would like to see how many full reads this thing actually get, because I bet it's pretty damn low if you're not wildly politically involved. No one is going to sit there. They're going to come home from work and be like, you know what I want to do? I want to read. I mean, this is, how many pages is this? 90. Oh, it just has percentages on how far you're done. I mean, that's got to be it's got to be 20 pages long. I think that's intentional, really. It's not really a short. I mean, the thing is, the headline is Trump. I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. And get the hell out of here. All right. Trump responds to low-life John Kelly. All right. Former President Trump slammed his former White House Chief of Staff, retired General John Kelly, as a lowlife and a total degenerate. In response to Kelly's recent comments about Trump's alleged fascinations with dictators and interests of unchecked power. Thank you. This is him on Truth. Thank you for your support against a total degenerate named John Kelly, who made up a story out of pure Trump derangement syndrome hatred. This guy has two qualities which don't work well together. He was tough and dumb. The problem is the toughness morphed into weakness because it became jello with time. The story about the soldier was a lie, as are numerous other stories he's told, Trump wrote on Truth Social. I don't know, man. We're just stuck in the middle here. Even though I shouldn't be wasting my time with him, I always feel it's necessary to hit back in pursuit of the truth, Trump continued. John Kelly is a lowlife and a bad general. Oh, come on. Sorry, I moved my spot. And a bad general whose advice in the White House I no longer sought, and told him to move on. All right, well, there you go. He hits back on Truth, then it gets screenshot to X, and then it actually takes off. Let's see. And then again, here's Kamala Harris. She's increasingly unhinged and unstable. Is he, though? I would implore, which you probably already have, but just go listen to the recent podcast that he's done. I'm talking an hour to 2 hours of just sitting down, unscripted podcast with just regular people that you know, comedians, other talking heads, businessmen, and they're just having a conversation. They're just shooting the shit. That's it. That's what they're doing. They're just having a good time. Kamala Harris can't do that. She's fake. She's fake. She's scripted. She had to take the day off to get ready for her Telemundo interview the other day. An entire day off. You're almost 2 weeks out. You were almost 2 weeks out from the election at that point. You took the day off to get ready for a Telemundo interview. Donald Trump would never take any amount of time off to get ready for an interview. That's where he thrives, because he's just open and he just has fun with it, and he is who he is. And of course, we have the Joe Rogan podcast with him coming up on Friday. I don't know if it's going to be live or when they're going to post it or whatever, but at first I was kind of hesitant of that. I'm like, hey, he's going to go on I'm assuming it's not going to be 3 hours. I think it's going to be like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Joe's going to push him a little bit. That will be good. We all deserve answers on things, on different questions. I hope it's a great interview. I think Donald Trump is going to do great. I've talked to a lot of people about this. He's done great on other interviews. Same with JD Vance. It's the most humanizing thing that these two people can do, that the media apparatus, the left, has tried to make them into non-human, so it's easier to attack them, so it's okay to attack them. It's funny because I think that's what a certain mustache man did to a certain group of people. Dehumanize them, so it's easier to attack them. Here's it. This is the great one right here from MSNBC. John Kelly gave us an October shock. Too bad voters have gone numb. Voters have not gone numb. Voters are just better at deciphering your lies. That's the truth. Your headline is messed up. John Kelly gave us an October lie. Too bad voters have found us out. That's the truth on that. Go fix your headline. People are numb to this. They're numb to the news and to the lies because you've been doing it for so long. And before Donald Trump was in office, you could kind of get away with this because who really knew what we were going to get? But now he's been there for 4 years. They're trying to memory hole you to make you think he wasn't in office for 4 years when it's convenient for them. If he was Hitler, he would not have gone anywhere. Okay? The article is, I'm not going to, something that American generals were more like the Führer. Okay, hold on. Whoa. Let me read this, because now they're using the Führer. If that were not enough, I don't even know what it says before this. Kelly says Trump told him that Hitler did some good things and that he wishes American generals were more like the Führers. We are we are also getting new details about the depths of Trump's contempt for the men and women who serve in the military, especially those who are wounded, killed, or captured. Okay, this is the first time I'm reading that he said the Fuhrer. And then it goes right to the Atlantic. It goes right to the Atlantic article. In the Atlantic article, it never says anything about the Fuhrer. This is hilarious. So this right here is straight up fake news because that's not what he said. Now, luckily they don't have it in quotations, so that's kind of their out. That's how they get out of it. Yeah, these people are just terrible. All right, let's take to X and see what we got. Oh yeah, the decisiveness. This is a great one.
I don't understand how we got so toxic and just so divided and so bitter.
He said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to him.
Okay, that's perfect because these are the ultimate gaslighters. I mean, this is a massively abusive relationship between the Democratic Party and their voting base. I'm not shitting on people that vote Democrat. 80 million people last presidential cycle voted Democrat. I'm not making fun of them or anything like that. They are an abusive relationship. Now they probably say the same thing about the right if we would have this conversation. But I don't know how we got here. I don't know what is going on. What is going on? Explain to me, like, what are you doing that's ruining this whole thing? Yeah. I don't know how we got here. Why are we so divided? Trump is literally Hitler. Okay. Thanks for that. Trump is really bad at this whole Hitler thing. And it's him, like, hanging out with Jews in a Jewish society. And I see a lot of Jews, they have the red yarmulke, I think it's called. I'm sorry. It's like red, has Trump. It's like a Trump hat, but it's a yarmulke. It's funny. As a Jew, nothing is more offensive to me than hearing Kamala Harris compare her political opponent to Hitler simply because she disagrees with him. Hitler is responsible for the murder of 6 million Jews, whereas Trump has done everything to make Jews and America safer. Now, remember, let's never forget the rise of anti-Semitism was almost at an all-time high. And if you look at the attacks, where were they mostly happening and who was mostly perpetrating these anti-Semitic attacks? I'll let you look into that. I don't want this video to get taken down. Here's Rudy Giuliani. Again, of course, you know what he's going to say. Trump is Hitler. October surprise. Kamala is Hitler. America's Hitler. She wants to take away your guns. She wants to... Okay, great. Here's Ashley St. Clair. If you can't afford to feed your family and you're wondering how Kamala Harris is going to help you, don't worry. She just held an emergency 3-minute press conference to call Trump literally Hitler and then went back inside. And that's the truth, man. She just came out as it's disturbing. It's so disturbing. I have to go hide in the vice presidential house. Trump is Hitler. Oh my gosh. Nothing positive about her. Nothing positive about her campaign, her what she's going to do in D.C. when she gets there. She doesn't know what she's going to do in D.C. That's the problem because her lobbyists haven't told her yet. They're trying to figure out where the House and Senate are going to lie and kind of what the makeup of this whole thing is going to look like after the election. So they don't really know what to tell her yet. So she doesn't know what she's going to do when they come knocking on her door with a bag of money. It's tough for her, guys. She's in a very, very tough situation here. Here is our one and only.
And to be praising Adolf Hitler is dangerous and it's also disgusting.
So just to be clear, when you said we do agree, President Biden believes that Donald Trump is a fascist.
I mean, yes, he said himself. The former president has said he is going to be a dictator on day one. We cannot ignore that. We cannot. And we cannot ignore or forget what happened on January 6th. And to be praising Adolf.
He's already had a day one. He has already been there, folks. She knows this. They know this. Everyone knows this. He's already had a day one. He was not a dictator. And to say it, again, this just pisses me off. To say it as if he said it as fact is just wildly annoying. Let's see. I think this was Steve Jobs' ex-wife with Maxwell. If Trump is Hitler, then what is this? Yeah, again, this was a night I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Dark red, lit up building in the background and everything. Trump is Hitler is a psyop. I mean that literally, not figuratively. It's a military-grade, multi-stage psychological operation engineered to re-energize, demoralize Harris supporters, and through stigmatization, reduce turnout among Trump supporters. They are re-energizing their base, but what they're also doing on the Trump side is saying that if you vote for Trump, this is big picture. If you vote for Trump, you like Hitler. That's what they're doing. That's why you don't see as many Trump signs as Harris signs. That's why you don't see as many bumper stickers. That's why you don't see people going out. I will say a lot of people do wear hats, though. But the yard signs and the bumper stickers, I think the reason people don't want to do that or don't want to have that is because it becomes a liability in their front yard for their house to get attacked, for the sign to get stolen, for arguments with their neighbors, right? How many Trump supporters are pulling signs out of front yards or going knocking on doors and screaming at people to vote? Why are you voting for this lady? Da 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 da. Or they're worried about their car getting keyed or their window broken or something like that. More like just the car getting keyed, really. It's a liability, and what that does, and it's because the left, some people on the left, it's a small amount of people that vote Democrat on the left. It's a very small amount, but they are there, and the number is significant enough where people on the right don't want to express publicly how they are voting. And because of that, that actually has a very large impact on people that are on the fence, swing voters. And I'm saying, well, I look around and I see all these people. I see Harris signs everywhere, but I really don't see many Trump people. So maybe, I mean, I'm thinking about voting for Trump, but like, really, I mean, if a lot of other people are thinking that's not a good idea, then maybe it's not a good idea. And that is wildly, wildly misleading just to average American voters who aren't making videos about politics, who aren't watching podcasts while they're going down the road, listening to political theory and, watching the polls and things like that. Man, they're just living their life. They're trying to listen to music. They're going to their 9 to 5. They're picking up their kids. They're going home. They're trying to get a couple hours of enjoyment. And then they get back on the treadmill. They do it all over again. And that is part of the issue here. And I'm going to end with this photo because I got to get going here. Got to get on that treadmill. Mostly peaceful memes, man. They got some good stuff. We got them. Here's Donald Trump. And this is very clear evidence. In fact, everything I just said was blown out of the window by this. Very clear evidence. We have Donald Trump. He's drinking water during what appears to be a presidential debate. Actually, I see that background that they continuously use. Get a new background. And then here's Adolf Hitler drinking water. So clearly it runs somewhere in the family. He's probably related to Hitler. They like water. And the way that they drink it is so wildly consistent. I mean, look how they're using their fingers to pick up a glass that is filled with water, and they're like using their lips and they're drinking it. They're probably both really, really well hydrated. And there's nothing more telling when you found a Nazi when you find someone that is well hydrated. That's a dead giveaway. Keep your eye out, folks, for people that are well hydrated. Thank you for listening. I hope that you like and subscribe. It would help us out greatly. Get the word out. You are not alone in this. You are not on your own island. There are millions of people in your neighborhood, in your city, in your county, in your state that think like you. Get out and vote. We're coming up on the home stretch here. And victory really is just around the corner. Thank you so much.